Hello, Vinyl community. Thanks for dropping in. Tony's LPSRUS. Today I have a quick segment. Hopefully it's a quick segment. I know I say that quite often, but I take a little longer, start to talk too much. But this is on the RCA inner sleeve, the original album inner sleeve, which I have quite a collection here. I don't have them in any type of order. It was too much information to put them in order. I try to put them in order based on the albums, but I do have quite a few of the Elvis designed inner sleeves to show his albums. And we could thank the Colonel for that. Colonel, of course, as you know, anytime there was an opportunity to put Elvis's face on a piece of paper and make money, that Colonel was right there. And we have the Colonel to thank because we do have this wealth of photos of Elvis on inner sleeves because of the Colonel. And the Colonel made a profit, but so did RCA, so did RCA's board. Stockholders, Elvis made a little, but Colonel got rich, RCA got rich, and Elvis made some money too. And we're all indebted to Elvis. And I appreciate what the Colonel did as far as marketing. But anyway, I'm going to start off with the RCA Inner. Now, RCA was one of the first companies to develop the LP long playing 33 1/3. That was around 1930. It didn't really take off because we were going through the Depression, the 20s into the 30s. So that didn't take off. Later on in 47, 48, Columbia took the mantle on the 33 1/3 and kind of developed it commercially. RCA was left behind. And we had what they call is the War of the Speeds. We had 78, 45, and 33 1/3. And I believe RCA was concentrating on 45s. Columbia was concentrating on the 33 1/3. RCA had the EPs, which were 33 1/3 compact albums, and so did Columbia later on. We finally merged. RCA got the idea that the 33 1/3 was the way to go. So they developed 33 1/3 in the 50s, early 50s, and Columbia also started producing 45s, and all is well because it started a $1 billion industry. So that's basically my quick synopsis of the 33 1/3 and the albums and how we got to the 48 when Columbia developed the 33 1/3, which I talked about in my other video. Just as a footnote, some of these inner sleeves will show 8 tracks, Elvis's 8 tracks. The 8 tracks came about in around 1970 or so. So, cheers. And then at the end, I have stick around. I have an album that's an original pressing that has audio files set. I'm going to talk about that. So these aren't in any order. Like I said, I have the Elvis'S, and I do have some inner sleeves that I was able to find where they were initially released in the 60s. So here's one that shows stereo. That's an early RCA stereo, the most trusted name in sound. And you can see that here. And they have their Miracle Surface. If you see some early RCAs, they're called Miracle Surface. I'm going into the classical RCAs. These are basically rock and pop and some jazz. Next up is a very simple polyline sleeve. They went to plastic a lot. That has the RCA logo on the right. One of them has the RCA logo here. Here's an early one, stereo. And you can see those early records. Here's the what a stereophonic sound. It was just introduced. So I suppose that was early 50s right there. And this album, believe it or not, was in this record. My Elvis's golden record from Vogel's. It has a C on it, which is corresponding on the wall. You would A, B, C, D, and that would be the price. And that's that one that came out of here. Here we have another early one, and this is a Jamboree box set, like a special edition. And I believe this is a Dynagroove Reader's Digest RCA box set. Here we have another one, a tan record that have some classical deluxe packaging. I know I said there's not much classical, but I didn't go into the Shady Dog classical. That's what I meant. And here you have, again, what is stereo sound. This has Harry Belafonte, which is a great audiophile sounding record. If you ever get it, Living Stereo, Harry Belafonte, live at Carnegie Hall, a complete concert right there. Here we have another one, which is a purple color, a Stereophonic. And there you have that, it's purple. And now this was featured Mono Records, I believe, and this also talks about their magnetic tape, I believe, Reel to Reel, Miracle Surface, Dynagroove. So Dynagroove was around with RCA many years later, and they went to the Dynaflex, which I'll show you in the sleeve about the Dynaflex. Now this is a funny one. This was actually came out of a Surrealistic Pillow, Mono, 1967. The Jefferson Airplane. And they said that was the first time that this was released, this sleeve, was in a 67 Surrealistic Pillow. Here we have another early RCA. Some of these look the same, but the albums depicted are different. They kept on changing every few months. This has a catalog on it. You could send away for a complete RCA Victor catalog for 25 cents. And here's another one that was from a Jefferson Airplane Takes Off and Jefferson Airplane Crown of Creation in 66. So this was available in 66 and 67. You can see that there. And this actually talks about the stereo 8-track. So maybe it came out in late 70s in a reissue, but this has 8 tracks on it. But supposedly this came out of a Surrealistic Pillow. I mean, Crown of Creation. And you could see here the RCA catalog you would send away to Department C in Rockaway, New Jersey, which is too far from New York. They had a plant there, Rockaway, right there. Here we have another Living Stereo that depicts different LPs. This has Lena Horne, Harry Belafonte, which is a good album. I have that on the back. And here you have different classical records on here. Victory at Sea, some soundtracks. And they came up with all these different names. Orthophonic Living Stereo. And we're almost getting to some of the Elvis. That's much more interesting. Here we have another one. Listen, What Stereophonic Sound? RCA Victor. And this has blues and some pop, some Afro-Cuban, almost jazz. Crosby and Clooney, which I've never seen in the flesh. That's up here on the top. Looks like a pretty cool album to have. Here we have another one later on with 8 tracks, and you can see that there's on the other side, I'll show you again. Soundtrack Good, the Bad, and the Ugly compilation, Jose Feliciano. This has Jefferson Airplane, and we have the Monkey's Head up there, one of the last Monkey LPs to be released. So now we're getting into some of the Elvis, some of the good stuff, and I'll try to pull them out as I can. Before I do that, here's a later RCA. That's a polyline sleeve. A lot of companies went to plastic. His Master's Voice, both sides. And we have the Dynaflex, which is a very, very thin vinyl from 1970 and a few years later. And these sound remarkably good. I keep on harping on this, but this is, I like the Nielsen Smelchen and some Lou Reed are on Dynaflex, and they sound superb. So it has nothing to do with the weight of the record. It's the vinyl and it's the way it's pressed, and of course, the how it was mastered. So now we're going to get to some Elvis. This was supposedly from a 1960s Elvis album, and this was taken out of an Elvis album. It's not Elvis, but it was taken out of an Elvis album. And this has the soundtrack to Jack the Ripper, or music from Jack the Ripper on the back there. So that's pretty cool. And it does show the first time we see Elvis, the greatest hits there, on the right there. And this was taking, this is actually the first time we saw Elvis recorded in Madison Square Garden. This was released, this particular sleeve, in July of '73. There. And this is not only a history of RCA, it's a history of Elvis, which means it's a history of rock and roll. You could go down the line, has all the numbers. Some of them are mono and stereo. These, I believe, are stereo for the most part. 1973, they've done away with the monos, except in the reissues. This one we first find in 1977, April, and this came with the new edition of Elvis, From Elvis Boulevard to Memphis, Tennessee. That's what that came out of. And these are all in pretty good condition considering the age. I keep these in the record with a plastic or new generic inner sleeve. I take the record out so not to cause any further damage and any splits. Here we have one that's the first depiction of Speed Out, or Spin Out rather, not Speed Out. This was in March of '67. This was first issued March of '67. This also talks about 8-tracks and reel-to-reel, early 8-track. So it says Elvis's great LP catalog on Elvis on RCA Victor Records. On the back there, you could see that. And this was the first time that Spin Out was depicted on an inner. And you could see there the tapes, reel-to-reel and 8-tracks, pretty impressive. And here's some records. I'm going to pull the sleeves out. Some I know about, some I don't. So we'll see what's corresponding. Now these may not be the original sleeves, but I've never changed them. So however I bought them, and this is an original Blue Hawaii. And you can see here it has something we haven't seen before. It has singles on the bottom, 45s. You can see that right there. So you have Money Honey, Shake, Rattle, and Roll, has the corresponding numbers. It's too bad they don't put the dates on the sleeves. Here we have a first pressing original mono Potluck with Elvis. I bought this at a record show not too long, probably 10 years ago. And this has this sleeve in it, which is a non-Elvis sleeve because it was very early and the Colonel didn't yet come up with the idea to advertise his boy. But this tells you how to take care of your records. And that's pretty good. A lot of misconceptions about that. Nothing's changed. You keep your needle clean, keep your records clean, and keep them free of dust, and try to anti-static them as well if you can. Static's a killer. Here's it happened at the World's Fair. Let me see what's in here. Oh, this is a different one. This is cool. A blue sleeve. And on the back, it has the extended 45 EPs. So this is early. This is an original. Whenever this record came out, probably 64, I would think. Early 64 after the movie. And has the 45s and has the extended 45s on there. That's very nice. That's in great condition. If you want, here's the record. A mono. I'm going to put these away now because I'll be here all night if I don't do it now. Here we have another sleeve that's pulled out of Frankie and Johnny, the original. This is actually a promo. It's stamped not for sale on that. Very happy to have this. A mono, Frankie and Johnny. Elvis looked pretty good here. This is probably 64, whatever, 64, 63. And here we have the red, has extended plays on the back. This has mono and stereo depicted. And there's the label. It's not a white label promo, but it is a promo. This is a nice one. I don't have many of these I could find, but this is a Elvis Good Times, which is Shrink, and that's on Camden, I believe. Well, no, this is RCA. But inside it, advertised the Camden catalog, which was a budget label. Colonel made a deal with Camden, RCA, to do a budget label. Also, we did one with Pickwick. I'm not sure if there were any specific Elvis Pickwick jackets, inner jackets, but I haven't found one in my collection yet. I didn't look through everything. And this has the 4-track stereo tapes on the back. One on the front, whatever, right there. This is a nice one. You don't see this one too often. And that's the RCA orange. So this is an orange original. Very desirable, as Elvis fans out there know. Here's one that came out of Fun in Acapulco. I believe this was also early 60s, maybe 64, black stereo. And here we have a blue. This is kind of beat up. This has the 45s on my side on the back. And you can see that. But that came with this record. And inside the record, we will put another sleeve later. Here we have Elvis's great catalog. And this came from Elvis Now. And on the back of Elvis Now, Colonel also advertises records on the back of records. We have the box sets, the mono #1 hits. I think these are four record box sets. These are great. They're actually in mono. This is on a Dynaflex. And believe it or not, this was a cutout as a Dynaflex there. You can see this sleeve car. If you ever go out hunting and you have a cutout, if the sleeve corresponds, then actually obviously it came with that sleeve. It came with that record rather. You can see these correspond with the saw cut. That's a good way to know that sleeve came with it. Here we have another one, but this is a rare one. This has cassettes on it. So we're into the cassette era. And this just depicts cassettes. And this is in really good condition. You can see there both sides of cassettes. This is a Dynaflex. And this is a mono record. And this is a cool one. This is Elvis just speaking on stage, fooling around with the audience. As you know, Elvis always had a great rap. And this has an advertisement on the back as well. Talking album only. No songs, just Elvis talking, which is music to my ears anyway. Here we have, this is a nice one. This came from Speedway. We talked about Speed Out. This is Speedway, and Spin Out. A great movie. I guess early 60s again. Elvis with guitar. This is kind of rough. But here we have a beautiful sleeve that you don't see too often. And this has the 8-track catalog sleeve. So this was Speedway, maybe came out 68, 67. Not sure. I don't know my Elvis dates anymore. I used to go see them at the theater. This is 8 tracks. And here you have the albums. Okay, we have another Elvis catalog issue. This is Elvis's catalog on RCA Records. I think we've seen this one before. This is in red. I think we saw a blue one. This is from a mono roustabout. Now, like I said, I'm not certain these came originally with records, but I'm pretty sure they look like they're era-wise the same. That's a nice copy of Roustabout. Movie was released on Paramount. And this is a mono. And here we have another one, Elvis's Great Catalog. This is from a Elvis Gold Records Volume 2, RCA Black Label. That's this one. A great picture of Elvis there, right, I guess right before the Army, looks like. If you like, let me know. I could show all my Elvis records real quick. I have a lot of Elvis, different, some of them import, some of them Japanese. Some different companies. Here's one that was on the bottom. Here's another Dynagroove, non-Elvis. This advertises Mancini, Della Reese, Dwayne Eddy, Madame Butterfly, some classical operas. And this tells you about what the Dynagroove is. Here we have an early one. This came from an Elvis album, probably an early one. The New Sound America Loves Best, RCA Records. This is from a GI Blues. That's a beautiful GI Blues black. So I'm glad you like it. This is the last of the Elvis, last of the RCA inners. And this is it, GI Blues. I believe this is a stereo copy. A mono copy. Has 2 numbers on the back. Let me see, what was the record again? I forgot. Mono. So the album corresponds with the jacket. And this was $3.19. There's a sticker on it. You can't buy this sleeve for $3.19 today. So that's it for the Elvis. And like I said, just a quick pictorial about RCA. I didn't have too much time to specifically research them, but cheers to Elvis. And up here we have a, just put this up there for this segment. Got to pull my Elvis 45s out. I have a lot of Elvis picture sleeves, 45s, and also my Elvis records. So if you'd like to see that, let me know. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you like this, please tell your friends, subscribe. I'm trying to build a channel. I'm trying to actually going to visit other VC community people and trying to subscribe to some of their channels if I dig what they're doing. Here's my pick of the day. And they have black leather jackets on. So I thought, okay, Elvis used to wear black leather in 1968. So this might be a homage to that. We're not sure. This is Queen. One of my favorite Queen albums, The Game. This not sure if this was repressed by anybody. I'm sure it was repressed. But if anybody of note, like an Analog Productions or a Acoustic Sounds or Mo-Fi, I'm not sure. But this album needs no introduction. This has Play the Game, Rocket, Another One Bites the Dust, Crazy Little Thing Called Love, Don't Try Suicide. But the sound of this is amazing. And you could tell by the tunes I just read off, could be a greatest hits. Here we have the record in a poly sleeve, white label. That's the original label. And the white's not reflected there. And here we have the inner with the lyrics and the boys in the band with Freddie. And this record is from 1980. Photographed by Peter Hentz and Christopher Hopper. And this album includes the first appearance of synthesizer of a synthesizer OBX on a Queen album. This was recorded June, July 1979, and then February 1980 to May 80 at Musicland in Munich, Germany. So this came out late 80, I would imagine. And this record just sounds great. So if you can, if you don't have it, like a $15, $20 record usually because it's so good. And that's it. So keep rocking. Like I said, if you can, subscribe, like it if you like it, and have a great day. We'll talk to you soon. Just going to shut the computer down. And that's it. Keep rocking. And Tony's LPSRUS signing out. Thank you very much. As Elvis would say, right? No pun intended. Cheers.